held at Kamikaze. You were commentating.
Yeah, I was with Patrick
working
Schaefer.
coverage. Yep. And we had 396 people. We didn't even have 10 rounds.
Yeah,
it was
actually,
a 9-round tournament.
I remember that, yeah.
And we saw an about a 250% increase over a year in this venue.
We must be doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, California loves its magic. I think everyone knows that now.
And we know they love Legacy, too, so tomorrow will probably be pretty big as well.
Yeah. The last Legacy Open champion was Michael Hetrick. He's not going to be there to defend, so...
Well...
anybody's game.
Someone will have to win with Miracle, so probably Joe Lissette then.
Yeah, I was about to say, Joe's my favorite.
Yeah, I know that was, boy, just going to... Now, I was being nice to Ross, not to give him the dagger, because that's where Patrick Sullivan, the mono red versus Maverick, one of the best things I've ever seen happen on coverage was that game. I think it was game 3 between those two players where Patrick Sullivan defeated Ross.
Ross top-8'd the Standard and Legacy Open the last time we were here.
Okay.
For Kamikaze, no trophy either time. So I'm sure that's not the saltiest moment of
that's
the
fair.
entire weekend for him.
That's fair. As we are underway here between Lundquist and Guerrero, a Borosmir. Ben going to start off with Soldier of the Pantheon. You just see a Temple of Triumph there for Guerrero, so a little bit of a slower start. And Ben really wants to just get the snowball going here as fast as he can to make it so that Guerrero actually has to play defense. As Lundquist looks like he's going to follow up with a he's got a Boros Elite in his hand, but he's going to start by attacking. Let's do the easy part first.
Yeah, in this matchup, Soldier of the Pantheon is mostly just a 2-1.
Yeah.
Since both decks are primarily monocolored creatures. It skirts by Dryad Militant, and Michael Guerrero appears to have a couple of Boros Reckoners between main and side, but that's about it.
Yeah, he's got one in his main deck, and he's got one more in his side, so you got to be pretty happy if you're Lundquist to know that there aren't a ton of those hanging out. As here's a Soldier of the Pantheon from Guerrero's side. This is it's kind of interesting because this card, it just looks like a Savannah Alliance, right? But the text on it is actually quite relevant. Protection from multicolor is a big deal in this format. Whenever a opponent casts a multicolored spell, you gain in life. It's not irrelevant. It's not the biggest of deals, but protection from multicolor is a big game.
Yeah, I think this was probably like one of the 10 best cards in Theros, and I'm kind of curious how the design came about because, was 2-1 protection from multicolor not good enough? Like, why was the life gain stapled on,
Sure.
Like, what factor? They were like, nah, not quite enough. We need to push it.
Yeah.
We need to really give it a go.
Lundquist's going to come in here. He's going to activate his Mutavault, of course, playing another Mutavault beforehand and get in here. And now he's going to play a Boros Elite, too. So Ben did mulligan this game, but he looks like he's doing just fine here. As now he has enough creatures for the battalion. Obviously, Mutavault going to aid in that as well. And his attack force is very, very strong. As Guerrero's going to play a Mutavault of his own, but he's on the back foot here. And one thing that these decks don't do very well is play defense.
Yeah, I'm interested to know why the Soldier traded with Mutavault instead of another Soldier. Looking at Michael's hand, he actually has his one Boros Reckoner in hand, and now you see him cast 2 Dryad Militants. No, those can't block Soldier of the Pantheon. Those guys are just going to keep going. So right now, Ben has a very good alpha attack, whereas if he was down 1 Soldier, he'd have to pay basically 2 mana in order to get a similar attack, and he'd still lose a Mutavault in the process.
And also, I mean, I'm interested to see if Ben wants to fire up the Mutavault and offer up a trade with one of these Dryad Militants. I doubt that he wants to. But I think he's, a safe attack here is just, all right, fire in with everybody, resolve my battalion trigger. I've got a 3/3. If you want to trade with this, you're going to have to double block this. And no. Protection from multicolor. That is why that play is not a strong one, Mr. Guerrero. Again, that Soldier text is not irrelevant.
Yes, well, it seems like we may have realized he probably wasn't thinking about it on the previous turn when he made his block, kind of autopiloting through. And now he's definitely in a bind. I feel like he actually probably has to try and trade 2 for 1 on this Boros Elite, but he knows Brave the Elements is a card. He plays it.
Yep. I think this is kind of a double blocking situation because it's not going to get better before it gets worse. So he's just going to take all the damage, go down to 7. But see, I'd rather trade a Brave the Elements there because now the Brave the Elements is essentially lethal. Like, yes, Mutavault can't step in the way, but again, is that a game-winning thing? If Mutavault's stepping in the way, I'm not entirely sure that it is. You see, there's going to be a Scry. Also, he's going to have to probably tap mana to cast a spell, so Mutavault's not going to be able to block. So if he does put the shields on here to cast a spell, then Brave the Elements is just going to be lethal.
Yeah, Michael was definitely a tough spot. He can't just have 2 mana to semi-counter Brave the Elements up the whole time. And also Ben, he's very familiar with the Boros deck, obviously. He's playing it. He made his own tweaks. He knows to expect Banisher Priest from most players' main decks.
Yeah.
He cut them to the sideboard, but keeping a Brave the Elements up here also lets him avoid that card.
Yep. And Ben says, I've got Brave the Elements. I will draw. I will name white. I will kill you after resolving Battalion Trigger with Boros Elite. So Ben Lundquist is going to win game number 1 here over Michael Guerrero after a bit of a misstep there from Michael. So Lundquist, ever the master, winning game 1 as we're going to go over to the sideboards here. I'll start with Guerrero's sideboard here to see what he can do to kind of get himself back in this matchup. He's got the additional Boros Reckoner that we talked about, so I think he's going to want to obviously bring that in. 3 copies of Fiend Slayer Paladin, not the best in this matchup, but a 2/2 First Striker actually isn't bad. especially because it does have lifelink. An additional copy of Brave the Elements, so Michael has 3 in his main deck and 1 in his sideboard. It feels like, that card probably came in a lot over the course this weekend.
Yeah, I in fact believe that Ben has all 4 of his in the main deck specifically. And I don't think Ben's sideboard looks too different from Michael's. I know that he does have a full number of Fiendslayer Paladins available to him. And as we already spoke of, he has those 4 main deck Brave the Elements.
Yeah, not a ton of differences between the sideboards here. Again, the Banisher Priest is a card that's certainly going to come in this matchup.
Yes.
I mean, having that Fiend Hunter-esque effect is definitely a strong one. So I think we'll see that come in from Lundquist's side. But this matchup, it being on the play is wildly different than being on the draw.
Sure.
And I'm not sure that either player really has the tools to actually be able to catch up when they're on the draw to be able to play. Just kind of like a brick wall that makes it so that you can't attack anymore.
Yeah, Precinct Captain is a pretty high impact. Obviously, none of the 1-drops can really effectively block it. So if you're on the play, you're first to Precinct Captain. And if they don't have their own Precinct Captain, they're still pretty much out of luck on defense. And then if they happen to have their own Precinct Captain, you can untap. You have options on Brave the Elements and Boros Charm to make sure yours gets through or lives. And you could even play Spear of Heliod to get things even worse. Or a Johnny Caller of the Pride. Again, very similar effect. So I think being on the play is actually a very large edge.
Spear, a really interesting card too. Something I mentioned when I was covering up one of our. I didn't expect to even say this. One of our multiple Boros matchups today. But Spear being like a Glorious Anthem effect that's typically good in the white matchups, but they can only play 1 or maybe 2 of this card because it's a legendary enchantment artifact, which is kind of weird because we're used to seeing on the pure Glorious Anthem those effects just be you can play as many as you want.
Yeah, definitely very different. Michael Guerrero is running a split, 2 Spear of Heliod, 1 Johnny Caller of the Pride. Ben is actually running the reverse split, 2 Johnny, 1 Spear of Heliod. He said that he cut his 3rd Johnny for Spear at Kibler's insistence, but that he has wished he would have had a Johnny most times. He cited the Spear out a lot, he said, and he thinks in hindsight he perhaps would have preferred the 3rd copy of the Planeswalker. Yeah. And who'd have thought that, a Johnny Caller of the Pride? It's been, I'm just saying, that guy took a while.
Are you looking at me on purpose right now?
No. What do you mean?
No? Okay.
Did you have words to say about a Johnny Caller of the Pride
Me?
at some
No,
point?
not at all. Green, white deck, Cleveland, whatever. I'm over it. Yeah, I invented a Johnny Caller of the Pride, people, okay? I invented that Planeswalker, all right?
Evan Irwin's preview card, I believe, when M13 first came out, however, didn't really catch on for that first year. Did not, despite being a 3-mana Planeswalker, bar set pretty high on that particular category, obviously.
3 mana, 5 loyalty Planeswalker.
Yeah, just huge.
It's this Planeswalker, right, where you can't play a million of them, obviously, but it is a good card when you can play it. So, and its effect is one that's actually kind of hard to play around because it can't just kind of one-shot you out of nowhere. That's part of the reason I do like it. So we see both players shuffling up here, gonna cut each other's decks and be underway here. Michael Guerrero going to be on the play for game number 2. As again, we are in round 9 of 10 here in Los Angeles. This is kind of like winning in round, but as you said, we are pretty far over the cap here, so might not be able to draw next round.
Yeah, to be fair, one of these, or I should say 2 of the players on 7-1, if they win, will, by default, be getting paired against an undefeated player with whom they can likely safely draw. We'll have to see exactly how it breaks out, but I'm pretty sure that those draws will be safe. It would take a lot of people to make them not. Although, whatever, people could just say, I'm battling, I want that first seed.
Hey, first seed's a big game. That's a big game. I did that in Seattle when we were there earlier this year in April, playing the last round, knowing that I could draw to make top 8, but being the first seed is huge, as you see a Soldier of the Pantheon here to just blank this Dryad Militant from Lundquist.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Michael Guerrero just went turn 1, tap a mana, discard a card.
Yeah, basically did, yeah. So he's going to, boy.
That one's dead. Well, now he's literally done that.
Oh no! And so now he's gonna play Temple and Scry.
Leaves the card on top. He has a hand filled with Mutavaults and Plains. That's a little mana heavy. He already has access to 5 mana, although 2 of them are mana lands, so he can defeat some of his flood that way.
Yeah.
And Ben putting on the beats. God, what a lead out. Soldier of the Pantheon into Daring Skyjake with Mutavault.
Yeah, has it all, as it were. Here's a Boros Reckoner.
All right.
So it's going to get Mutavault's way, and Ben says I'm going to gain life because that is a multicolored spell. He's going to quickly untap Will Lundquist. He's going to draw a card, draws a Plains for the turn. I think he's got a frontline medic. He's actually got Banisher Priest, so get that out of the way and get in here for 5. Yeah, so this is a one-sided beatdown right now.
Yeah. the kind Benny specializes
Yeah,
in.
it's getting ugly out there. There's a Spear of Heliod.
Michael's got a lot of his more, once I'm ahead on board, this is what I do cards. He's got Spear of Heliod, he's got a Johnny Collar the Pride, he's got Mutavaults. These are all cards that are better when you have creatures in play already.
Yeah.
And that's not the situation he finds himself in. He's lost his first 2 guys, and he's fallen behind real fast.
And the thing, again, is that when you are behind in the White Weenie Mirror, there's really no way to catch up. There is no, sometimes, in history past, we've seen cards like Day of Judgment, to kind of clear everything away. But that card doesn't really exist right now. So there is really no way for Guerrero to actually be able to catch up here. You see an attack for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lundquist has a Brave the Elements in his hand. So Guerrero does play something. 1, it's probably not going to be good enough. And 2, Brave the Elements says, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you with the Falter effect.
Michael draws. It's a Precinct Captain.
There's another Mutavault there in his hand as well.
He can utilize the Mutavaults as defenders, but he can only utilize 1 if he casts the Precinct Captain. And casting the Precinct Captain will guarantee that he takes lethal.
You see, he doesn't really want to cast it. He's hesitant to cast it, but he is going to play Precinct Captain, which is a 3/3 right now. And I think Ben's going to do what he did last game, which is I'm going to show you Brave of Elements.
Yeah.
And, Brave the Elements, and you're probably going to concede here.
Ben's classy. He draws his card first.
Yeah.
He has another Brave the Elements as well? Okay.
He's got all the Braves.
There's theoretically a line here Michael could use to, save himself.
Is there?
Ben appears to be not playing the Brave before blockers. Theoretically, he could be, activate Mutavault with Mutavault and be able to, Lightning Strike something or something along those lines. And Ben, not knowing his opponent's exact list, perhaps not willing to just play into those lines. But, yeah, I would probably, then you could just, go cast Brave, name White. If he responds, you just cast the other Brave.
Sure.
Name whatever he was responding with, and then he's 100% dead.
Sure. You see Ben's just like, well, this is lethal, so you have to have something. First strike. My guy's a 3/3, your guy's a 2/2.
Still lethal.
Yep. And there's a Brave. So yeah, attack still looks to be lethal. And you see he's going to count the damage, 3 from that, 2 from the Soldier. As long as his life total is correct and sitting at 4, which I believe that is correct. That, I believe, does it?
Michael confirming the math himself. I mean, if Ben casts a Brave the Elements, I'm pretty sure Michael's dead. That's just my general read on the situation.
Yeah, that's how I feel with you. I'm with you, on that one too. So once the dust settles, we'll see exactly what does happen. Maybe we'll see an extension of the hand. I'm not sure. We are, and that's going to do it. So Ben Lundquist is going to defeat Michael Guerrero 2-0. Boros beats Boros.
Yeah.